Hey, NetBuilders, I'm already laughing and I haven't even started the episode yet. So I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be smiling this entire episode as well. So thank you for joining us for another episode of NetBuilders 360. And today we have a great guest who's going to provide a lot of value. And from what I already can see, a ton of laughs as well. So I'll hand the floor over to you, Nicole, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, RJ, and I'm glad to be here. You are a hoot. We've already started having a great time, which sets the mood. We've already discussed that there's no misery. There's a saying called misery loves company. I've never understood that. Joy loves company. So if we are already starting off with joy being our company here, so we are welcoming all joyous people because this is our audience. This is your audience. Joy loves company. We are in a company of joy.
I love it. I love it. So, Nicole, what do you do?
Well, I am an entrepreneur, which means
I love it.
what that means. That means I don't really have ADHD, but that's another word for saying like a lot of people who are entrepreneurs are ADHD.
Huh.
They have all these ideas that they're trying to put together. However, my entrepreneur idea that I'm working on is I saw that there was a huge need with personalities. And we have out there right now personality models that are amazing. They teach us about ourselves. They do not teach us about other people. They do not teach us about how to resolve conflicts or how to communicate with other people. So I did my undergrad in business and conflict resolution, and then my master's, listen to this, industrial organizational psychology.
Oh, wow.
I say you need a degree to say it or spell it.
Wow, I can't even repeat it.
I know. I was and so when I did all this stuff, I noticed in our society we have a problem with connecting. Part of the reason we have a problem with connecting is because we're too busy competing with each other. And we need to learn how to connect things. We need to learn how to work together. And we're all this is my favorite saying. I have a lot of Nicoleisms, you'll find out. We're all a piece of the puzzle. And when you look at a puzzle, you see the individual, but you also see the individual fits in to their unique individual piece fits into the puzzle to make a beautiful picture. If we don't understand our puzzle piece, where a puzzle piece fits, we can't create this picture and we're in discord. So we have to understand what our puzzle piece is so we can fit in. When we're too busy trying to figure out who we are, how we communicate, or people are telling us who we are and how we communicate, we're either being too much of the individual or too much of society. And that's been the biggest problem in our world is people are telling you who you should be, or that the individual voice is stronger than the community, or the community is too strong than the individual. And that's why we're having a conflict in our world, is because we're not balanced. So we wrote, me and a co-collaborator came up with the needs languages. Okay. Because our personalities need this. We need to be balanced within ourselves so we can create belonging. So we have 3 booklets out right now called The Needs Language, Bringing Balance and Belonging in Dating, the Needs Language, Bring Balance and Belonging in Parenting, and the Needs Language, Bring Balance and Belonging in Romantic Relationships. Oh. And then we'll have another one coming out because I'm speaking at a PSYOP convention, which is the Society for, I'm going to say IO, instead of saying Industrial Organizational Psychology, I'll refer to it as IO this spring. And I'll be speaking on disabilities and employment issues, because that's another one of my things. I'm a really big DEI person, diversity, equity, and inclusion. As you can tell, that's a big heart of mine. And so we'll have a workplace, because if we cannot communicate with each other, we cannot create belonging. If we cannot find balance within ourselves, nobody wants to be known as an obnoxious little twit. I mean, most people don't.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would say the majority of people do not want that label on them. you know. And you know, and this topic is a topic that I really think is greatly needed, and I didn't realize how greatly needed it was until you just started speaking on it. And I remember when people used to complain about magazines with models on it and say, hey, this magazine makes women feel like they have to look like this. It tells them how they're supposed to act and what they're supposed to look like, and this is a norm. But it's gotten even worse since the floodgates of social media opened up, and now defining yourself is an impossible task in itself. Because people are, I think people are more defined by how many likes they get on their social media page than what they actually want to be.
Well, and that's what's interesting, is we're not allowed to be ourselves. Or we'll have like for an example, I had a mother who was the opposite personality as me. And so we didn't know how to communicate. It wasn't necessarily the teenage years that did play a factor, but we were opposite. And so our needs languages were opposite. And when my stepdad came into the picture, he's awesome. We had the same needs language in one, and one was opposite. And I got to tell you, he is my dad. I love him because we had that connection. We have that needs language. And where we conflicted in the opposite, we can have a conversation and say, this is what I need in my personality. This is what you need in your personality. How can we work together? And I've actually had a conversation with a younger person who was in like 5th grade, and her dad's personality, she was the same as my stepdad. I was the same as her dad, and I could have that conversation with her, and she grasped it within 10 minutes.
Wow. Wow. So just because two people have one needs language that are opposite doesn't mean that they're completely incompatible, because they may have another needs language that coincide with each other.
So the way the needs language works is there's 4, right, value, control, and important. We are 2 out of the 4, how we see things. And in our romantic relationships, we connect in one that's the same and one that's different. Oh. And when you are parenting, you really need to have one that's the same, or know what your child's communication is, because otherwise it can be squashed. My son and I have one that's in common and one that's opposite. And it got really interesting because I used a word when he was younger. I said the word consequences. He's a right value. I'm an important value. And he could grasp the word consequences. And I thought, oh, this kid's so smart. At 3, he could say the word. No, it's a right word. He had registered. I wouldn't be able to say that because it's not an important word. That's how it works in communication. So if I were to say to him, I want you to have a happy life, he'd look at me cross-eyed like, huh? But for someone else, they would grasp it. But for him, that's not a right word. I can use right and value words with him. He's going to get it. So when him and I speak in value language with each other, we connect so well. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, I really like my kid. They're so wonderful. But when I'm not getting the right, and they're not getting the important, we're just like talking at each other. So that's what it's like. And now imagine this in the workplace. You put 2 people together who have opposite needs languages. You got a team that's constantly in conflict, or their needs languages don't align. So a good example of this is politically. So please bear with me, because you're going to get some feathers ruffled with this one.
Fair enough.
Look at Trump and Biden. They were both rights. Their rights did not align. So if your rights don't align, you're going to be in conflict. That's another example. So you have 2 people have the same needs language in one, your rights don't align like theirs, conflict. So that's another thing. So if their rights would have aligned, they would have worked well together and right. Biden would be a right value and Trump would be a right important. So they are right. They were both rights, but their rights saw opposite of each other. They're both speaking right language, but the right language where it was conflict.
You know, this actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, even in the household, me and my wife, we'll both say the same thing, but I guess we say it in different ways. And we'll fight for like 30 minutes and then it'll be like, hold on, why are we fighting? You said this and I said this. We both are arguing the same point. I guess we're saying it differently.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense though.
Yeah. But when you become aware, it makes it so much easier, because when you know who you are, you know what you like, you know how you can communicate, you now are able to say to your person or the people around you, this is who I am, this is what I need, this is how I communicate. I can talk to people now, even when they're the opposite needs language. If I know what needs languages they are, even if they're not aligning with me, I can have a conversation. I can have, even though I have no right in me, I'm not right. I'm going to tell you, I'm not right.
It just sounds so funny to say that. I'm not right.
I'm not right. I'm important, but I'm not right. And even though I'm not right, I can have a right conversation with a person because I know how to speak right. And if I know that they're very strong in their right, I know what right people need. So I can prevent myself from having an argument. I know how they process information. I know how their patterns work. It's not labeling someone. It's not judgment over someone. It's seeing the pattern of that personality. So I know how to communicate with them so I can be in relationship with them so I can create belonging for myself. I know where I connect. I know what I need. I know what they need. So I'm in community.
I can only imagine how powerful this will be for, say, someone in the management position with, because now I'm thinking of, I was a leader in the Army for 10 years. Yes. And had I known something like this, I wouldn't have went with the one size fits all with with dealing with subordinates, It was just one size fits all. Some of them would cry, some of them would get mad, and some of them would just react. And yeah, so I can only imagine how it will work wonders in that situation.
Oh, it works wonders with parents. I totally now understand why my son reacts the way he does based on patterns. And the patterns are pretty much the same. And I got to tell you, it's fun to watch dating shows. Oh my gosh, I never got into them before I started watching these patterns. I now know why certain people are attracted to each other, why some aren't. When you start learning the patterns, you're going, I know what you are. I know. I know why you're attracted to that one, why you aren't. I know what's going on here. And it's fun to watch that stuff, not from a drama perspective. It's like, I wonder why you're connecting with this person and why you can't stand that person. So it's fabulous because you're learning about people. You are learning what people need. You're learning what you need. That's one of the most important things, because when you know what you need, you can communicate to others. This is what I need. This is what and you now know also when you figure out someone else, this is what you need. Am I correct? How do we work together, especially when you're in opposites? That is so powerful, because then you can use your Sesame Street skills. How many of us watch Sesame Street, and learn to compromise, but we don't know how, because we don't know our needs and we don't know the other person's needs.
Fair enough.
It's great to know how to compromise, but if you don't know what you're compromising on, it's not going to be helpful. The word and the concept sounds great, but what are we compromising? Exactly. See, we watch these things like Sesame Street, and I mean, I don't know how old you are. I watched Electric Company and, the School Rock House, or what it was. I said that wrong.
Schoolhouse Rock. I just remember conjunction, junction, what's your function?
Junction, junction, what's your function?
And
Yeah.
I'm only a bill, the little bill sitting on the thing. Yeah. Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock,
Yes,
yes.
it was.
We watch all these things to learn this stuff, but they don't tell us these little pieces to connect so we can do it.
Mm. Mm.
It's that puzzle connecting all those pieces. We're missing pieces.
And it's crazy how in disarray our world is due to small little what do you call it? Small little misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Like small little misunderstandings have created some of the hugest conflicts.
Mm-hmm. Or the huge pains.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. But you know, I'm glad that you do what you do, and hopefully, you know, people will pick up a book and read it and
Yeah.
some things about me that I need to fix. Maybe I could do things a little bit different, or talk a little bit different and understand a little bit better.
Yeah. Yep. I actually had fun writing this last one. The first two ones were a little more serious.
Mm-hmm.
But this last one, I wrote a chapter on menopause because, you know, nobody wants to go through the change and nobody wants to change their partner because that may cause them hot flashes. And I refer to changing your partner as menopause because
Gotcha. that makes it's pretty creative.
Yes, you're by trying to change your partner, you're making them go through menopause. I do not know a man who has wanted to sign up to try and go through the change and go through. Do you want to go through menopause, RJ?
No, not even a little bit.
Okay, so this is what you can say to your wife now. If she tries to change you and your personality instead of learning how to compromise, honey, I'm not going to go through menopause for you. I'm not going to change that way.
She is going to look at me with the blankest face in the world. I don't know where to go from there. After she just stares at me, do I walk away in slow motion? What do I do?
I don't know. You just say, this is why we are personalities. We need to learn our personality types so we can communicate with each other, because I don't want you to have unnecessary hot flashes. And I'm not going to have any unnecessary hot flashes for you, my dear.
So you do seminars.
We just are coming out with this model this year. I will be doing seminars, yes. And if so people want to come and contact me and say, please come do a seminar, I will come and do a seminar. I would love to do seminars. So we are working on getting this out here. We're just putting booklets out. Again, like I said, I'm speaking at the SIOP convention. I do two things I talk about. It's disability equity and then this. And I'm working on doing more of equity stuff too, because that's where part of the needs language came from, is because I think we need to be talking about the bears in the room and the zebras in the room, not just the elephants. We need to talk about, we got to give equal opportunity to all animals. We just can't focus on the elephants. We have got to also talk about, you know, race and women issues and disability issues, because we have a lot of growing to do in that area.
I feel like it's been drowned out. I feel like all of those topics have just been drowned out because one hashtag will come out and then one issue becomes more important than the rest of the issues. And they're like cycling, like, hey, whose turn is it for a hashtag this time? All right, hashtag Black Lives Matter, and nobody else's does right now. And it's like, hey, what the hell?
But if we all don't work together, it's like saying the only thing that matters is control or right or you know, and I have friends who and I'm going to get serious for a moment. I have and this really hurts me. I have millennials that are I'm very close to, and one of them went to a predominantly white school, and she said, I had a mental break because of the racism I experienced. And she's from Mexico, And she's sweetest girl, just the stereotypes that she dealt with. That's why I say it's okay to learn the pattern so you can communicate. Not okay for the stereotypes like that.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. She's amazing. And we talked about the stereotypes, and we said, hey, a lot of times people think that people who are Mexican, that the people that are women should be house cleaners. And so going into social work, you weren't accepted because that's a white stereotype. And I hate saying that. So let's talk about that. Let's work through that, because that's not okay. You're an amazing woman. And then she had another stereotype because she was a mom, she couldn't understand parenting. Well, that's a bunch of crap, because she was a child. So she had a parent, so she should understand parenting from a child perspective. She can understand parenting. Have you ever watched a child? Have you ever babysat? You have a nephew, so you understand parenting. So whoever told you that is that's a stereotype. That's a bias. That's not okay. And she looked at me and she said, where did you come from, Nicole? She said, you talk about these things? And she just hugged on me. And I said, we have to talk about these things. These are the sloths in the room. These are the zebras in the room. These are the lions in the room. These are the giraffes in the room. Yeah. These are all the animals in the room that we need to be talking about, because if we don't talk about them and face them, how hard they are and how challenging they are, we are not going to grow as a society. My family hid that they were Jewish, and they hid because of the anti-Semitism. I didn't find out till I was an adult. I missed out on being able to do a birthright trip to Israel. I've always wanted to go to Israel. I haven't been able to go. I missed out because my family hid out of fear. When I went to Brown versus the Board of Education, I got to talk to someone that was absolutely fabulous. And he said, there's a difference when you can hide your heritage and when you can't hide your race. And there's a difference when you can hide your disability and you look normal, and when you can't. But there's also problems that come with that, because there's also shame. Yeah. You can't embrace who you are. And that's also, when I bring it back to the needs language, we have got to learn to be aware of who we are, embrace our heritage, and embrace the beauty of who we are, because when we do, we are able to walk in the fullness of who we are. And when we're able to walk in the fullness and the beauty of who we are, we're able to not only see that beauty of that identity, that uniqueness, that unique shape of that puzzle piece, but we're able to fit in, work in community, and create something so amazing that is wow. And that's what it's about. Wow. It's about being both.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you know, I think back to the young lady that you spoke about. And, you know, there's so many people that didn't get to experience her amazingness because of what they judged from looking at the exterior. You know, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people missed out on getting to know her, you know, just because of that. And, you know, like that. But the puzzle pieces make sense. I always thought of it as a tapestry, you know, each thread, you can't see how you fit into that huge, beautiful tapestry from the part that you play, you know. And yeah, that's unfortunate. And it is so true that these things are not spoken about. These things are hidden, and heritages are hidden, and unfortunately, you know, you miss that birthright of yours to be able to make that trip there. And it's horrible. It's really horrible. And you think about what this country is supposed to stand for, you know, the freedom to be and pursue whatever dream and pursue whatever form of happiness that you want to. And it's only true in some cases, you know, and as long as we don't talk about it, it always looks to the outside like the home of the free and the land of the brave and opportunity. But if you're here in the country and you're suffering this injustice, it'll never look that way.
However, we can change that when we work together to change it. It becomes, we still can embrace that beauty and that identity. I can't tell you how many times I talk to young people, or how many times I do things to create that inclusivity, or I have others that are around me that are doing it, and we work together. That's the beauty. That's what becomes amazing, because that's where and that's what it's about. That's really what it's about. It's about loving each other. That's what makes me happy. I have a fun story. I gotta share two stories. These two are like make me happy, really.
Yeah.
And so, and one of them is going to be just a fun one that you're just just happened recently to me. But before that, so I'd gone on a road trip, in this kind of a two-parter. My neighbor, he's got a severe handicap, and we have younger children here, and I would give them stickers. Well, I told one of the younger one, he's about 3 or 4 years old, go give the older man a sticker. And apparently he'd keep all of them, and they are from another country. And a lot of times when people are from other countries, people can be very, we have a lot of problems, even though our country has been built on immigrants. Come on, guys, let's come on. And so we come back from this road trip, and he had never really been a part of our community, because a lot of times people don't understand this. People with disabilities really are isolated, and they're not accepted. They are seen as, I'm afraid of you. Are you going to drool on me? Or, and he walked up to me, and I've been showing people pictures, and he's looking at my phone. I'm like, what are you doing? He wanted to see the pictures. He'd never done that. And he starts acting, and he's coming more in our community, and he's acting like he belongs, by a 3, 4-year-old running up and giving him a sticker.
Just that small little gesture.
Yes.
That small little gesture.
Yes.
It's amazing that small little gesture can change and shape, such an amazing relationship. And it's amazing.
Yeah. 3, 4-year-old, including and teaching him that he's part of the community. He now has changed, and his mom giggles. His mom. That is amazing. Now, this story happened recently, and I never knew this. This is play. Now, this is a fun story. We should be playing more as adults. So I'm in the airport, and I'm pretty trauma informed, because I think that's really important. So this little girl, she's wearing this yellow outfit with a yellow poofy skirt, and she's having a hard time washing her hands. And I'm noticing that there's no place to wash her hands in the bathroom. She moves over to the sink with her mom. I come next to her, and before I come, can I wash my hands next to you? Because I know she's struggling. She's like, yes. I said, oh, I noticed you've got a yellow poofy skirt on. You dance, or, yeah, I want to be a ballerina. Purple ballerina or yellow ballerina? No, I'm be yellow ballerina. About 3 years old, 3 or 4 years old. Oh, what kind of dance and music again? Just Barbie music. Oh, what kind of Barbies you like? Dark Barbies. Okay. Well, do you have a Rosa Parks Barbie? No. Well, you need to get a Rosa Parks Barbie. Do you know who Rosa Parks is? Well, yes. Now, I didn't know if she knew who it was, because she's about 4 years old. So, well, Rosa Parks is a very important woman, and women have done some amazing things in history, and we have more opportunities as women to do things to change our world. And you have more opportunities as a young person to do things, and especially as a woman, than we've ever had opportunities before. I turn to walk around out of the bathroom, and I realize I'm not done. And I do this with kids all the time. I said, and by the way, we have more millionaire 7-year-olds than we've ever had. There are more opportunities for entrepreneurs for 7-year-olds, and you can do anything as a young person. And you remember that. And I walk out the bathroom, and I'm with my person. I like to say person instead of partner. I'm with my person, and my person's used to me doing this with kids and people all the time. I'm always like, hey, you can do anything. You can be, and the people walk out behind me, and harshly, and I thought, oh, what are you doing? Did this person bothering you? And I'm like, oh. And the mom looked at my person and said, no, they just made our day. I did not know my love of Barbies. And I have the woman, I've got to remember her name, the woman who impacted voting. I didn't know my love of Barbies and playing with Barbies was going to impact a mother with her daughter. And I hope they went out and bought the Rosa Parks Barbie.
I'm pretty sure they did.
To go home and play.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Play Barbie. Play changing history with Barbies. We have the opportunity to impact lives through stickers, through Barbies, through all sorts of things.
Yes.
And as simple as a conversation. You know how much money stickers cost you guys? $1 at the Dollar Tree. And that's not even one sticker.
For a whole sheet. Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I also, I want to thank you for what you do. Because I'm gonna say something that I've never said on any NetBuilders episodes or any social media. But I have 3 daughters and I have 1 son. My only son, he was born disabled. So he was born with hydrocephalus, which means he has water on the brain, and the ventricles in his head were too full of water and crushed his optical nerve, and he has no nerves. He can't walk. He'll never walk. He has scoliosis. He has a tube in his stomach, so he can never eat by mouth. And so he used to be able to see, but for his first 2 years of his life. So all he could do was lay there, and he could see me when I came home from work. He used to follow me through the house with his eyes. Then he started having seizures, and it finished the job with the optical nerve and took his sight away completely. And I think that was the most heartbreaking moment in my life, is walking in the house and I'd say, "Hey, bud," and he didn't follow me with his eyes. He didn't turn his head to see where I was going. And we took him to the hospital, and that's when we found out.
Yeah.
And so he's 5 now, and it's still great to see him react to my voice. But I say this because, I have such a fear of him growing up in this world,
Yeah.
But people like you make it to where, I feel like there's a little bit of hope for individuals like my son, who weren't gifted with all 5 senses that we take for granted every day. And there's people like you advocating and fighting for them and making it to where this is a more tolerable world for them. So I really appreciate that.
Well, I have a learning disability, and my aunt grew up with a seeing disability, and my grandparents did stuff with she ended up becoming the governor of our state and created homes for people like my aunt. And because my aunt would come home and sit in a puddle of urine because people would make fun of her, and there weren't places for her. And I have struggled because of the learning disability I've had, and people have not understood. And we need to come to a place where every human is loved. Every human is accepted, no matter what age. Children are to be seen and heard. People are to be seen and heard. And I don't care if you have a disability or you don't have a disability, everybody has wisdom to bring.
Definitely. I definitely learn something from my little boy every day.
I bet you he is amazing. I bet you he has wonderful things to share.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. Oh, he is. I bet you he is. I got to tell you, when my neighbor man did that to me, it brought healing to me. And I didn't realize it would bring healing to me, because I had struggled with community because of my learning disability. And you can tell by the stories I'm telling you, this stuff to me touches me. I was like, okay, I've just told this little girl, changing the story a little bit, told this little girl about the Rosa Parks Barbie. I'm done. I didn't know how I'm kind of nervous. I'm in a bathroom telling this little girl about Rosa Parks Barbie. They could get mad at me, and they come out and say, "No, she's made our day." And I'm like, mouth dropping to the floor, making sure there's no flies in the airport coming into my mouth, that I'm eating something I don't want to eat. That to me was one of the most impactful things I will ever experience, because it is about us working together so that next generation comes and does that change that we need.
Definitely. definitely. I'm pretty sure you're not done impacting people's lives. That's just one of many stories that you're going to be able to tell. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And doing it from a place of love. It's not about me, and it's not about them necessarily. It's doing it in a place where we love each other. It's doing it so that we are encountering love the way we're designed to, so that we're doing our purpose in life, because we all need a purpose. So when your son is doing what he's doing it from a purpose of love. Because when he's loving you, you're able to go out and love others. And then that impacts other people. And then that impacts other people. And when we're in such a place of love, it's amazing. You just can't describe it. It's healing. It's restoration. You feel good. That's joy. That's joy's company.
Yeah. Right back to what we started at.
Exactly.
I love it. Full circle.
Yeah. And that is so awesome that you could have also said, this is going to be too much. I can't keep him. A lot of parents do that. So you and your wife also need really big social distancing hugs, because that is real hugs if I was there, but social distancing hugs, because that's hard. It's hard to raise a child but there's also a lot of joys. So many joys.
Oh yeah. The beginning was very rough because it was constant fights with the doctors. Always something, no, he's fine. No, he's not.
Yeah.
No, he's not. And my wife, she was amazing. Like she really, she did way more than I probably ever give her credit for. So hopefully when she watches this episode, I just want to tell her thank you. But she did an amazing job. But he's just such a joy to have around. Like I just love running through the house screaming. And I'll scream from one side of the house and he'll scream back at me because he can't talk, and then we'll just start cracking up. So he's great. But
and before your girls, I do have to say thank you to your girls too, because that's also hard on them with the brothers.
Oh, they're great.
And they are doing awesome too.
Great big sisters. Oh my gosh, they're there for them all the time. They hear his food beep. I'm gonna change Donnie's food. And they change his food for me. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm about out of time. So how can you give us some information? One, how can people get in touch with you? And also more about the seminar that you're going to be doing, so that way they can drop in for that.
Well, I don't know if you can drop in for the seminar because it's a PSYOP conference.
Oh.
I will be speaking on disabilities and employment issues at a PSYOP conference. But you can pick up my booklets on Amazon. It's the Needs Languages. For dating, it's Bringing Balance and Belonging in Dating. The other ones are Bring Balance and Belonging. The Needs Languages, Bring Balance and Belonging in Parenting. The Needs Language, Bring Balance and Belonging in Romantic Relationships. We're keeping it that theme. They're all on Amazon. In fact, the background you see here is the background of the dating booklet.
Okay.
And then the 7 Candles is my website. I have a YouTube channel called The 7 Candles, and I Facebook The 7 Candles. We keep it under that because it's about keeping your candle lit. It's about keeping yourself, that aura, that energy out there, so that you're shining yourself brightly. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I do coaching around the needs language. I'm developing groups for these 3 things. So if you really want to learn your needs language and learn how to communicate better, please contact me. If you do want someone to come talk about disabilities and employment issues, love to come talk about that and how to communicate, how to work around that. And so those are the best ways to get a hold of me, is through my website.
Outstanding. And I will have all of that information in the description below. If you guys are watching on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, check the descriptions there. And also, if you're watching on NetBuilders 360, you guys will see her page. Make sure just contact her. Like, this has been a great and I think a liberating and restoring conversation for myself. So I really hope that you guys all got something out of this. And
yeah.
Thank you for joining us today.
So much, RJ, and thank you for letting me talk about this. I'm very, very passionate, if you can't tell. I love people. And I think people, we say too much how horrible people are. People are amazing, especially when they're able to find balance within themselves so that they can create that belonging. And that's really what it's about. Let's find our beauty. Let's find our amazingness so we can go out in the world and create that beauty, that wonderfulness.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.